Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Braggers Creations and welcome to my live stream today. One of the things that I'm going to have to get done right away is get some warmth into this place because it is bloody freezing here today. But I thought I would save that to do it live on stream because I use this little heater here to keep my legs warm. That's powered by these little canisters here, and often when I start these up they burst into flames, and I just always feel that's good to capture on the live stream rather than missing out on all that excitement. So there we go. So we'll just switch that on. There's meant to be a grill on the front of this, but it's gone. Bit of gas coming out. Okay, yep, we're cooking with gas. No flame up. How disappointing. Oh well, never mind. Hello to Jack68K, Sam Johnson, Thomas Armstrong, Joe is here, Enzo is here, Josh is here. Hello, Josh. Sam Johnson, and let me just read and see if anything is saying anything that I must provide attention to immediately. And I am going to just go like that. There we go. Okay. Fix something or break something, yes indeed. My Mystic Colour Classic says, thanks for its repaired board. You are most welcome, Josh. I am very, very pleased to hear that that's going well. Okay, bloody hot here. I wish it was bloody hot here, I tell you. It is just, well, I mean, we're in the middle of winter, so what do you expect? So, is this a 6888888888882 upgrade? Might be. We'll see. Charlie's here. Hello there. Coos, Eduardo, is it Bianco Tofu, I think? Hello from Colombia. Hello, Michael Mullet is here. This is a bit of a late live stream for me. Typically I would be live streaming a lot earlier than this, but I just woke up feeling a little bit flat today, so I didn't have much energy, so I procrastinated for quite some time. Okay, heater is down here. I can start getting my tootsies warm. Ooh, geez, it is cold. It is very cold. And of course, it doesn't help the fact that I am actually here in my outdoor workshop sheddy thing, and it's a concrete floor, so that just sucks all the warmth out of you. I should get a couple of like hot water bottles and stick one under each foot. That'd be nice. Okay, so anyhow, I am just working my way through the repairs. I've just got more and more coming in. I've got a Macintosh Classic giving me grief at the moment. I need to do a bit of work on that. I'm not sure if I'll do that today because that's a really tricky one. It works 99% of the time. It only stuffs up if it's been left off for a really long time. And I talked about this before on one of my other live streams. Kai gave some great suggestions there, and I've just got to go in and try some of those out. So Patrick Pitts is here. Hello. Apples Anonymous, hello. Freaking freezing in Melbourne. Yes, I would expect it. If it's cold here, it's got to be even colder there, I would imagine. Pleasant surprise. Well, that's what I like to hear. Thank you, Retro Techie, and hello to you. Okay, so anyhow, I am working on a couple of things today. I'll probably start with what's in my left hand and then move to what's in my right hand. I got a box, not a big box, but a box of boards to repair. I've already done 2 of them, so I figured I'll just get this wrapped up and then I can get that sent back to the owner. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to wrap things up as much as possible. I've got this person that's contacted me and said, look, I've got a couple of Mac, I think it was 1 or 2 Mac Classics I'd like you to have a look at. I said, look, I really want to, but I've got to get rid of some of the ones I've got here already. I don't have the space to store them, and I don't want them to end up getting damaged because I've got nowhere to put them and they get knocked or something like that. So I've sort of said, look, just let me clear some of these other classics out so that I've got some space to put yours. That was a long sentence, that one was. Yes, Sydney and Melbourne are too low and coastal for it to snow. So yeah, these aren't big snow regions. It does occasionally snow where I am. If you were to travel west, you get to what's referred to as the Great Dividing Range, and it's a sort of range of, we say mountains, but at the end of the day, they're kind of more like just really big hills because geologically speaking, Australia is extremely old and we don't really have anything that properly qualifies as a mountain. But anyhow, having said that, to the west of me is the Blue Mountains, and you get up fairly high there, and it does snow there occasionally, and that's only about an hour's drive from me, hour and a half drive, and so it does occasionally snow there, but pretty rarely. So Uh, okay, all right. Now, I'm starting to warm up now, so that's good. So what I have here, I'm going to just change views. Top view here, I have a power supply, an LC style power supply, and it is an Aztec. And then I have over here in this little anti-static bag, I have an LC3. Now these both belong to the same person. And he basically sent the power supply to me to say, look, you could use this power supply for testing the LC3. He doesn't know that I've actually got a whole stack of power supplies I can test with, but he said, and if you do power supply recapping, can you recap the power supply as well? It's like, well, I do, so I will. But the power supply does actually work already, so that's something. LC3, pretty cool sort of computer. I mean, one of the things that's nice about it is it has the what is it, 68 pin RAM, something like that. And then you've got your VRAM slot there. You've got some onboard VRAM. You've got some onboard RAM down there as well. You've got a slot for a floating point unit, and you have got a 33 megahertz 68030. Hang on. 33? Does that sound right to you? Or is this an LC3 Plus? I didn't think they were 33. But maybe they are. Anyhow, someone will know. Someone will know. Let me just have a look. I've got my little look up, and I'll go here. Models, view models, LC3, 25 megahertz. So this must be an LC3 Plus. I've never even seen one before. Yeah, it is. It's an LC3 Plus. So that's quite extraordinary. I need to take some photos of this. I've never had an LC3 Plus come through here before. So yeah, I just looked at it. It's like, because I've got an LC3 and I was like, I'm sure it's not 33 megahertz, 25. So, Tom Barber, hello there. Richard Harmon, hello. JJ Brubaker is here. Joe Williams is here. Okay, just keeping a check-up of all the people that are arriving. Thank you very much for joining me on my stream. I do apologise that it's a little bit later than I would normally stream. Why did my watch just go bazing? Ah, I see. It is my fellow Macyakians chatting to each other. Now, here's a really interesting thing. You guys may know this, you may not, but if you've ever seen bags like this and bags like this. Now, pink anti-static bag, and this is an anti-static bag as well. Now, it may interest you to know that these are actually quite different. Now, these ones are quite a lot cheaper, but you might sort of think, well, what is the difference between the two? Well, this here actually stops static electricity getting in. So if I were to actually try and zap this with something, it actually stops the electricity getting into the bag. So it is a true anti-static bag. The pink ones, on the other hand, they're made out of a special plastic that doesn't generate static electricity. So if I just pull a normal Ziploc bag out of the cupboard, if I ruffle it around, that's going to create static electricity. The pink one, on the other hand, if I ruffle it around, it won't generate static electricity. But it doesn't actually shield against static electricity, other than the fact that it is made of plastic, and plastic has, obviously, insulative qualities. So you will actually protect from quite a lot of static electricity using a pink bag like that. But this one here, if you actually hit this with a lot of volts, it will actually disperse them and not let that power get in. So just worth knowing, when we talk about anti-static bags, they're not all the same. So there's just a little bit of information for anyone who, well, you probably didn't want it, but I gave it to you anyway. So there you go. Right, so House of Moth J is here. Hello there. What the heck kind of batteries does that UV laser take? Not AA or AAA. Are you talking about this one? This one here? Is this one you're referring to? You got yours delivered, did you? I don't know. I've lost the arse of mine. I cut it out. Yeah, I'm sure it's. Don't know. Maybe it takes one of those 3.6 volt batteries, like the. It should tell you, shouldn't it? Doesn't it tell you? Yeah, I think it takes one of those 3.6 volt lithiums or something like that. I think. Yeah, yeah. Well, you might have to look that up. I can't remember off the top of my head. But of course, the first thing I did was modify it. And so what I did was I drilled a little hole in here, because that's the negative, that's the outside. Put a screw in and attach this negative wire to that. And then the positive wire is wired to the little spring down there, in there. And so I've got this one now hardwired to my power supply. But yeah, it takes one, I can't remember what these, yeah, 18650. Thank you very much, Patrick Pitts. I think that's what it takes. Yeah, so, Steve is here. Hello, Steve. Welcome to the live stream today. Performer 460, yeah, that could be it. Let me just see what the chap says. He has said, because this is the thing, they send me information. So this one here, that is the logic board. Still works, please recap. Yeah, he's referred to it as an LC3 logic board. Recap, ultrasonic clean if it needs it. Well, I ultrasonic clean whether it needs it or not. That's the way we do things here at Branch Us. Okay, so got to order a battery then, or you could just do what I did. But yeah, sorry about that. I didn't even think of it. It is so long since I've actually had a battery in mine that I forgot that it takes a non-standard battery. I mean, they're standard, but sorry, not a AA or AAA. Use a bench power supply. Yes, you could of course use you could get three AAA batteries and put them in one of those little triangular things and wire that up with some sort of thing. So this is a really cool RAM sim. I don't know what the capacity of it is. It's Viking components, but look at it. It's just stacked. It's double stacked both sides. Look at that. That's awesome. I'll be interested to see what the capacity of that is. We'll check that out later on. But for now, what we do is we have the little system. Got a little system going here where I get one of my Ziploc bags. Here's a Ziploc bag. And I know it's not an anti-static Ziploc bag, but I'm not going to do anything staticky with it, okay? So calm down. Now, this is job number 163. Actually, I said I was going to work on the power supply first, didn't I? So let's do that. We'll do that instead. But in the meantime, I will put that in there. And you know what I also put in there? Oh, did I take photos of this? Let's just check. Yep, got photos. I always take photos of the boards when they arrive, in the condition they arrived in, with whatever was included with them. So if for some reason while it's down here in the workshop things get separated, I can have a look and say, oh, that goes with that job. This goes with that. Okay. Scarlet Swordfish is here. Hello there. Didn't say hello to you. Isn't that rude of me? Now, I got myself some more Q-tips because I ran out, so that's good. That's a good thing. But I've also run out of paper towel, and I didn't bring any down with me. I bought some, but I didn't bring any down. So hopefully I won't need paper towel today. Let's clean up a little bit of this mess. This is when I was looking at, in my last live stream, when I was looking at the Macintosh 2 SI, which has been ultrasonically clean. It is now working beautifully. I'm really, really happy with it, actually. I networked it up and it had some software in it, which I've never seen before. And it is essentially it's web server software. It allows you to set up a web server and an FTP server and stuff on your computer. Unfortunately, I could not figure out how to get it to work. Well, first of all, it wasn't an installer. It was virtually like someone had just done an image of all the applications. There's meant to be an installer and there was none included. I will try it on another computer. But anyhow, every time I fired it up, it was finding an instance of a web server that someone else had set up before on this hard drive. And the first thing you need to do is provide an administrator password. And I tried all of the obvious ones and it didn't work. So I thought, okay, no worries, well, I'll start with a new one. I could not figure out, there's no way that I could see to actually get it to start afresh or to create a new web server. I couldn't find where it was storing the files for the old one. There's no preferences anywhere. Maybe it's some invisible file somewhere, I don't know. And I couldn't figure out how to make a new one. So anyhow, What I ended up doing is just a bit of a fun experiment. I got Microsoft Personal Web Server software, which runs on System 7, and I installed that on my LC3 that I have, and which has a network card and a Blue SCSI in there. And I set up a little web server and put some of my really old web pages on there. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that in the future, but I am planning to probably get some sort of web page, vintage style web page, with that will run on really old computers, that's being served up by an LC3 using the Microsoft Personal Web Server software, because it's just a little bit of fun, you know. So that's and then once I've got that, I'll let everyone know what the URL is. But at this stage, I haven't even figured out what I'm going to put on it. I mean, what can I possibly put on there? All right, so here is the power supply that we're going to be looking at today. I'm going to need to undo him, and for that, I'm going to need a standard garden variety Phillips head screwdriver. So we've got that one there, I'm pretty sure stays. We'll see. We might come back to that. I could be wrong. Very, very often am. Okay, so we've got one screw here. I'm going to sneeze. You all ready? I'm going to sneeze. I'll give Jay some warning in case he wants to take a screen snap of me sneezing, which he has done before. Okay. New iPhone 13. Okay. Sad makes it 356. Have I said hello to you today? If not, hello. I have flashlight users, those batteries. Yeah, yes, I do actually have a few of them as well. I really like the brand of flashlight, or what we refer to them in this country. We call them a torch. There's a particular brand called Olight, O-L-I-G-H-T, Olight. And they make some of the most awesome, durable, brilliant torches, flashlights, ever. Yeah, okay, it does need to come off, so don't listen to me when I tell you things like that. Okay. So I have 4 or 5 Olight flashlights. I have one that goes on the front of your head. I have a great big one that's incredibly powerful. I have a smaller one that you can just sort of hold in your hand, and then I have a little teeny weeny one which you can fit on a keyring. But they're really good, really, really good. Right, so here's the power supply. Yippee! Isn't that nice? Probably not going to replace this big fat guy here, mainly because I don't have a replacement for it, but the other because a lot of the time these ones don't really encounter too much issue. They don't seem to get the same problems that these little clustery ones up here do. I've actually got an LC3 power supply at the moment that I can't seem to get to work. But I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Said with all the confidence of someone who really doesn't know if he'll be able to fix it. But anyhow. Joe is here. Hello, Joe. G'day, mates. G'day. Ryan Joffrey, have I said iPhone 13 doesn't have an Australian Siri voice anymore? Don't give me that. Don't tell me that. You cannot tell me that there is no more Australian Siri voice, because that is one of the best voices on there. We all know it. All right, so I have got this power supply, and it is connected to here with a couple of wires. Now I'll just desolder it because I don't want to be working on this with this metal bit hanging off. So I'm just going to desolder. This is a different one. So I must have been working on the Sony power supplies before, not the Aztec. So I hope I have the caps. There's no guarantee that I do, and if I don't, this will get put in a little later on pile for when I do have the caps. Leon Design. Good day all, good day, Bruce. That's me. Hello. Off grabbing snacks. Snacks. Some snacks. Program installers anyone would need for those old machines. Well, see, the problem is you've already got like Macintosh Garden doing that. So, and of course, those old machines have to get onto the web first and foremostest. I probably should just use the brucinator for this. Where is it? Here it is. So this is my big solder sucker. Really good for this sort of desoldering. Goodbye, solder. All right. Oh, how many people? Got 32 people watching. Thank you very much, people, for turning up. Again, sorry that it's so late. Just check and make sure this has got a label on it so I know which one goes where. Yep. LN, live neutral. They're the two that we have to deal with when we're dealing with AC power. Okay, let's see if we can get these to come through now with a little bit of coaxing. There's one. I have a, some of you may know it, some of you may not, but I have a video on building my own ultrasonic cleaner, which is just over my shoulder there. And during that video, I actually said in it that I would not be giving any information on wiring up the AC. Because I said, look, you know, AC voltage is potentially deadly, and so, you know, find someone who has the qualifications to do it for you. Oh my goodness, did some people get upset with that? Oh man, they're just fuming. I was saying, you know, if you don't give the information on how to do it, what do you think's going to happen? People are just going to do it anyway. And I said, or they could find a professional, like I said. But anyhow, having said that, I probably should have just shown. I think in my next follow-up video, I will just show a schematic diagram of how it's wired up. I mean, you know, to say this electricity will kill you if you do it wrong. So, you know. Okie dokie. Let me just check here. Live is brown the colour of your shorts if you touch one energized. The mnemonic I've always used is blue is cool. So it's the calm, it's neutral. The cool is calm, cool, neutral. That's how I've always thought of it. And then obviously the brown is the other one, the scary one. I love my Aussies. I'm serious. I'll be. It can't be on the phone. It must be the OS. Yeah. I mean, having said that, I don't really use Siri that much. All right. So now I do think I have a bit of an issue here, and then I don't think I have a recapping guide for this, but we will check. That's a 2SI power supply. That was the one that I looked at the other day and realised it was nothing like it. I had a 2SI power supply, and I've now got two of those 2SI power supplies that just seem to work without any sort of recapping. It's nice. It's very nice. Do. Kind of classic. Okay, here we go. LC power supply. So here's the other one. And let's have a look at it in comparison. Not to scale. We've got, see there's normally a couple little caps down here that aren't there. So I better take some photos here, hadn't I? I mean, I bet you Steve from Mac 84 has probably, I was going to say, Steve from Mac 84 has probably done a guide for this already. The model is the F-Tech. It's the model number AA16251. AA16251. Alcoholics Anonymous 16251. Apple part number 614003. Oh, look at this. Look at what Steve has just done. He has just messaged me a recapping guide for this. Because that's Steve for you. He's a bloody legend. I'm just waiting for messages to load up. Here we go. Okie dokie. How did you end up going with your little foray into Python there, Steve? Did you get that all working? Right. Boop, beep, yep, that's the one. Oh, look at that. Look at that pretty guide. His one craps on mine. All right. Okay. So we will be using a Mac 84 guide today. Thank you very much for that link. Let's check and see if I actually have these caps. We've got 10 volt, 16 volt, and 25. So 10, 16, 10, 16, 25. We're not going to do the 400. 10, 16, 25. 10, 60. 10, 16, 10, 16, 10, 16, 10, 16. Oh, I've got 2 containers of 16s because there are so many 16s. 10, 16. Boobity boom, and 25. Oh, so I really hurt my shoulder the other day, and stretching up like this is killing me. Oh, ow, ow, it's very scary. Oh, frangipani. Right, so let's just check on the chat here, see how we're going. So yeah, if you're following along, do so at your own risk. Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing. Essentially, I mean, I've done it in the past. I mean, I did the CRT discharging video, which, let's face it, you can kill yourself with that if you really wanted to. And I pretty much say, look, accept no responsibility, bloody, 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 blah. And one of the things, of course, I said in that was, if you are someone who is scared of that stuff and doesn't want to do it, my video was not designed to get you to do it. But if you are someone who's going to do it anyway, hopefully my video will give you a bit of information to make sure that you do it correctly. So let's just going to keep an eye on the chat here because, oh, by the way, have I asked everyone to please
smash that like button.
Going back to my view here, top view. Here we go. Right, so out here in this country, red used to be positive for AC and black for negative. You'll still find a lot of homes, even this home here has lots and lots of red, black wiring in it. But any new wiring that gets done is now brown and blue. Took a spill outside today. Yeah, it was wet. I was walking down a hill. It was a straight. I was just walking down the street, and I stepped on a bit of concrete, but it was some angled concrete, and it was covered in moss. I didn't realise it was covered in moss, but it was covered in like an algae. And so it was just as slippery as ice, and I just stepped on it with my left foot, and because I was coming down a hill and the way I had the weight of my body, I just had no recovery from it at all. My body just folded in underneath me, came down on my left-hand side, took all of the weight on my left elbow. Now, the elbow itself was fine, but what happened is all my body weight then just got transferred up into my shoulder, and just yanked the crap out of it, and I think I probably tore some ligaments or something like that, because that's now a couple of weeks ago, and it's still bloody sore, so... all right, let's have a look and see what we've got here. We've got a recapping list. So this is my 16 volt number 2. So we need 1200, one 1200 and one 470. Let's have a look. Now 1200, got a nice, delicious Panasonic low ESR there. They're not cheap, but that's fine. You pay for quality. So that's 1200 16, and we need a 470 16. 470s will be in the other container. So you can sit there. That's 25. Oh. 470 16, there we go. There's one. Isn't that nice? Okay, put that there. And I need lots and lots of shelves. If I could just have shelves everywhere, it'd be so good. I mean, I do have shelves everywhere, but they've got things on them. If I could have empty shelves everywhere, that'd be really nice. Okay, so that was a 16 and a 16. Now let's look at the 25. We've got a 47 25. I normally have those. Yes, here's a 4725. That's a nice common size. So, common enough that I'm going to have to buy some more soon. Gosh. Yeah. Okay, put that over there. And then we have 10 volt. We have two 120s. Oh, crap. I don't have any 120s. What the hey? We'll see if we can maybe find something else that can go in there. 2200 10 volt. 2200 10 volt. There we go. I need two of those. I think it says. Two. And one 1010 volt. There's a 1010 volt. So the only one that I don't have is a 120 microfarad 10 volt. But let's see if I've got a 120 and a 16. And that'll be fine. It doesn't matter if we go up in voltage a little bit. What was it? It was 120. Oh, look at that. Got 120 good ones as well. So, isn't that a joyous thing? We can do the recap. Everybody is happy. Let's just check on the chart here. Okay. You owe me a sneeze. Sorry, it didn't come. It went away. I'm a bit disappointed. I was really looking forward to it as well. There's a YouTube channel of a guy blowing 30,000 amp fuses. Yes, I think I've seen that one. I had to fast forward it because there's a lot of faff at the beginning. Let's face it, all you want to see is the thing blowing up. Just checking through the chat here. Just old man noise. It's me, Mr. Old. Oh, Dave's here. Hello, Dave. All right, so interestingly, I watched a video, a Patreon exclusive, I will say, from Mr. Steve Mac 84, and the funny thing was that I actually was in the live stream, as I'm sure a few people were here, was in the live stream when Steve was recording it. So that was kind of funny watching the end result, knowing that we were all there kind of watching him film it at the time. But it was a funny one because Steve got hold of a Macintosh 512K that had two floppy drive slots. Now, it really did look like one of them was homemade, but at the same time, still done incredibly well. And sure enough, that's exactly what it was. Someone had got a 512K and they'd put a couple of 800K floppy drives in it. And you must watch it. If you're one of Steve's Patreons, you will probably have already seen it. If not, you'll have to wait for the main video to come out. He's still got a little bit of work to do on that. I know, because there was a little bit where he said something like, something goes here. And it's like, yeah, okay, so that hasn't been filmed yet. But anyhow, it was an interesting video. And I have to say, Steve, you did seem a little bit disappointed at the end of that it was what it was and wasn't something else. But I still think that's a pretty awesome thing to own that. And I don't think he got ripped off or anything. So I'm just saying, just putting in my 2 cents. Let's get some caps off. Oh, didn't prime it. There is a predator here. I just heard birds getting upset at there being a predator around. I don't know what it is. Cat, bird, dog. But there's that unmistakable sound of very upset birds. Here we go. Out you come. Okay, so this little guy, 4725. Just keeping an eye on the chat here. I'm modding my 512 to have a Blu-ray drive in it. Well, you can put the drive in there, but you can't really do anything else with it. Has anyone ever modded an old black and white compact Mac? Let's say whatever it is, 512K, 128K plus SE, SE30, whatever. Any of those, has anyone ever modded one of those to put a much faster computer in it, but still keeping the old black and white screen? I was just thinking about how cool it would be if you dropped like a a 68040 or something like that, like a Quadra board into one of those, or LC475 or something like that, and then manage to run the video output to the black and white screen. I think that would be a very cool thing. Make it so that it all looks the same from the outside. I realise it would be some sort of travesty for a lot of people, but you know, I'm one of these people that has the attitude that if you own it, do what you want to it, within reason. I mean, I'd rather someone didn't grab like a, I don't know, a Lisa and start pulling the guts out of it and turning it into a PC or some crap. Just going to get all the caps off first, and then we'll put the new caps in. We'll take the old caps out, we'll put the new caps in. Okay, there's another. I'm going to hang on to these for the moment because I just thought we could maybe do some little testings of those. I was about to say testes, but that's something altogether different. Have you seen my Mac 2-part video yet? No, I haven't. I must apologise, but it's not just you. I haven't watched any YouTube videos other than watching Steve's live stream the other day. So I will watch it, I promise. I might actually, I probably even get a chance to do it this weekend. Because when I'm down here working, I'm always looking for things to watch. Something like that would be perfect. And I've got so much of this repair work to do this weekend. So if I'm not live streaming, I will watch that video. I promise. Camera is not at right position. All right. There we go. So if I go too much further, then the next thing you know, you're seeing my groin, and we can all do without that. Okay. Oh, we could always go to this camera here. This camera here. There we go. Now you can't see anything. We could zoom in at an angle. How about that? I'm going to just try that. Just going to see how it looks. Just want to give it a whirl. Zoom. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, you're going to get my groin in this shot as well. There we go. What do people think about that view? Is that any good? Or do people prefer the top view? We'll get your votes on that, please. Something magic happens. Okay, I'm very curious to see that. All right, you got my interest. You got my interest now. I will definitely watch it, I promise. Yeah, okay, so it's probably just easier to have an LCD display. I get that. That's the easy way. But I still think it would be fun to make one run off the old original black and white. That's just my thing, man. See that software I can try. I bought a camera for my microscope. Works fine with photo booth, but did not come with Mac software. Can you suggest software I can try? Now, John, there is one thing. First of all, if it is one that just behaves like a USB camera, so if it's the same as a webcam, then obviously any kind of webcam type software will work with it. But it depends what you're trying to do with it. Now, if you want to record, if you want to just record video from it, you can actually do that with QuickTime Player. So if you just launch QuickTime Player and you go up to the file menu and you select new movie recording, you can then select your microscope camera as one of the cameras from there, select a separate audio source, whatever you want, if you've got a microphone rigged up with a webcam, so if you want to record audio as well, and then you can just press record and you'll be able to record into QuickTime. So that's one really easy way to do it, QuickTime 7. If you're wanting to take a still from any of that video, if you actually just if you have a video open in QuickTime and whatever frame you're at, if you just do Apple C for copy, and then you launch Apple Preview, the software, and you go new, it'll just take what's in the clipboard and create a still image from it. So that's another little Mac trick for you. There is some other software out there that I have used, but I haven't been particularly happy with them because the one that I used to use, and I can't remember what it was called, if I can find the name of it, I'll tell you, but it wouldn't ever allow me to use the camera at its full resolution because the camera had a standard def mode and a high def mode. And when you're in QuickTime, you have the option to select the quality standard you're recording. But this other software I had didn't give you any option to select the quality standard, so it just always recorded in standard def. So, yeah, there you go. That was a very long answer. Okay. I like over-the-shoulder view. So the top-down, you're talking about the top-down view? Better than top view. Okay, all right, well, let's do this for the moment, and we'll change later if we want to. So, getting these caps off. And there's one there. You get pretty good at identifying which ones are the caps from the other side when you look at where the pins are. You do, I tells you. I've got this, I'm running at 60 frames a second on this, which is why it looks all kind of jerky. I may be better off just dropping it down to 25. I set it on 60 frames a second for when I'm recording Compact Mac screens so that we don't get a flicker. This allows me to get the screen to, the camera to sync with the refresh rate of the screen so you get a nice smooth picture. And this is, I've actually had people ask me, how do you get such a smooth picture when you're recording Compact Macs? I say, ooh, I've got tricks. I've got tricks. What? There? Whoa, they are. Whoa. What? Let me just check that. Oh, God, I can't read that. I can't read that. I'm too old. Don't make me do things. Pew. 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 This is the boring part, I do apologize. Actually, what am I saying? The whole freaking thing's boring. Recapping one of these is boring. Make no mistake. Okay, so this one here is a 10 volt 120. So that was the one that I was having to replace with 16 volt. Okay, they're okay. They're not too big. Did I only grab one? Because I think I need two. I'm pretty sure I only grabbed one. So, 16 volt. There we go. Let's grab a second one. There we go. Look at these cute little capacitors. Look how cute they are. Are they cute? Cute little things. Okay. All right. I did actually blow up a couple of capacitors. I have blown up some capacitors in my live streams before because of peer pressure. Yeah, they go pop. Oh, that's at a weird angle. That's at a weird angle. What the hey? I will just get this one out and then I will go back and check the chat. I have to keep my eyes looking at this. Otherwise I look away and then I look back again and I can't remember where I was. So my eyes have to just stay steadily fixed on it until I get the caps off. These caps really don't look that bad, but that's not surprising since you said it worked. Hello from Kentucky in the US. Hello, Rick Parker. Subscribed to you since I found you not too long ago. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with others. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. It is one of the things that I do like to try and do. I do like to try and sort of share knowledge, no matter what that knowledge might be. I know that sometimes I end up going on tangents where people are like, hey, how come you aren't doing soldering? You're talking about something else. And it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I know, I realise it may not be your cup of tea, but I just like to try and share stuff. All right, so that's all the caps off. So, and it's really, really clean underneath. So I'm not even going to need to ultrasonic this one by the looks of it. It is absolutely freaking spotless. Look like we might have got a little bit of leakage from that small one. So I might just clean around there a little bit. I suppose I should check the big fatty, shouldn't I? Sometimes with these ones here that have a plastic cover on the top, They look like they're bulging, and people go, "Oh, that cap's bulging; it needs to be replaced." In actual fact, it's not bulging. It's just there's a plastic cap on the top. The aluminium is underneath it, or aluminum is underneath it, and you'll find that'll be dead flat. It's just the plastic on the top which is sort of swelled up a little bit. Let's take this big guy off, and we'll have a look at him, and we'll check his spec, because if he's outside of spec or something, then I will potentially look at replacing it. But I will have to order one in, because I do not have ones like this in stock. And yeah. See if it'll come off now. Kai makes it. Oh. There we go. Traverse City, Michigan. Joshua Manypenny, hello there. Thank you for joining. Okay, so this cap has got no visible signs of leakage whatsoever, so that's a nice thing. And let's just see what the spec is like. So I'm going to pull out my super fancy, mega fancy mega. This is a digital LCR meter. And who knows, it might even give me an accurate reading. We'll see. So we are capacitors. We go positive, negative. It's saying 169.5. What's it meant to be? 180. That's still reasonably in spec. Let's see what the Kai Wheat's KM601. Geez, it's getting a little bit dirty, isn't it? I'll have to clean it up a bit. This, my friends, is a Kai Wheat's KM601 multimeter. Lots of features, budget price. You'll find links in the description if you'd like to buy one. I also have a review on it if you'd like to see that. Beautiful big color screen, and as I say, fully featured. This little blue thing on the outside is something I made. If you have a 3D printer, you can make it yourself as soon as I get around to posting the STL file. Want to know what multimeter is. So we're going to put this on to capacitance mode. This is the one thing about this particular model is that it is fairly slow to measure capacitors, much slower than my Fluke, but of course, having said that, the Fluke is a hell of a lot more expensive. So let's just put this guy here and this guy here. I've got it on diode mode. Did anyone notice that? Did anyone spot that I had it in diode mode? Dear. Sorry, folks. Let's try it in capacitance mode. I'm allowed to be a dumbass sometimes. It's slow, especially with the big caps, but it'll give me something. 178. 178. And that's meant to be a 180, so that's pretty darn close. Let's try it with the Fluke, shall we? Seeing as we have all of these things here, we may as well. Come on, Flukey. Come on, Flukey. Flukey, Flukey. There we go. So I'm going to put this one onto capacitance. We'll do this one. This one doesn't have a beautiful big color screen, I'm sorry. I'll have to live without it. And 179. So, all right, I'm content that this capacitor is capacitating. I could, of course, check it with the ASR meter. Should we just pull out everything I have to test it with? Just checking the chat here, folks. Excuse me. So I have an ESR meter here as well. Oh, and it's got some bird poo on it. That's nice. Does yours have bird poo on it? I bet you it doesn't. This needs new batteries. Okay, we're getting 0.156 resistance. This is the extra special resistance. Equivalent series resistance, yes, I do remember. Okay, and what are we looking at? We're looking at a 180 microfarad 400. So 180. It's really hard for, yeah. It's the ASR is fine. It's well under a sort of a theoretical maximum. So we're all good. We're looking good. I'm going to put this cap back on, but I might just clean around this region here first. Toothbrush and iso alcohol. And brushy. Test it by licking the pins. Well, I haven't actually put any power in this one. It hasn't had any power in it in a long time, so there would be nothing left in that capacitor. But I can tell you, if I had powered this on, there is no freaking way I would lick those pins, because that is a nice big fat capacitor that would do me quite some mischief, I dare say. Ooh. Justin is here. Hello, Justin. How are you today? You were streaming the other day and I missed it. I meant to go and check it out, but I got distracted by something. I can't remember what. Probably work. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if Justin's still streaming. And no, you weren't. So, sorry about that. I did mean to. I did mean to pop in. It's just rude of me. Just rude. It's just rude. Okay, so that's the positive. That's the negative. And we need to make sure that we accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. Now, that's not what we do in electronics, because that really wouldn't work well at all. I already said what ASR means. Equivalent series resistance. Do. This really sucks the heat away. It's taking a while to actually get that hot. All right, we're looking good. These are the sorts of caps you absolutely do not want to put on backwards. You don't want to put any cap on backwards, but that one, that would be bad. It would be bad. Right, let's have a look at Steve's recapping guide here. There we go, we've got that all right. Now, the 4725, that's the one that I wouldn't mind testing. 4725, here we are, because it did look like it had some leakage. So, let's have a look-see. Got to go, thanks for the fun. Thank you for joining. I do appreciate it. I do realise that that it is late in some parts of the world at the moment, even though it's quite early here still in Oz, and I do appreciate that people do need to get slumber or go and watch a film with their wife or something like that, or husband, or partner, or pets. This really sucks. I can't get these on here. Come on. God. Don't mess with me. You don't know who you're dealing with. It said 50, and it is 47. So, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see what the ESR is like. So with this one, we should be getting an ESR of, what are we, 47.25 volts. 47 at 25. It should be 1.2 or less. Switching on. Okay. There. And there. Put it on, so. Yeah, it's still within spec, but it did show some visible signs of leakage, so Good to be replaced. Good to be replaced. Had a beautiful full moon last night. Do you know what? So did we. Because we share the same moon. There we go. I don't know why I bother typing words when I sell on eBay. All right, you sound like you got something you want to get off your chest there. Do tell. I'm guessing that people just aren't reading the description. 5. You didn't write the. Polarity on this recapping guide, Steve. Who do you think you are? Giving out recapping guides without the polarity on them. Oh my goodness. When word gets out, but thank you very much for this guide. I do appreciate it. Anyone with a keen eye may notice that I don't actually have my fume extractor on. That is something I probably should remedy. Where are my snippers? Who took my... Here they are. I said something 2 months ago and I know the buyer didn't read the description based on his after-sale questions. Fortunately, he didn't attempt to return. I was young and foolish. I'll forgive you, Steve. Okay, so that's the first new cap in. This, the rest of this should actually go pretty quickly now. So, I've got these little guys. I'll put the little guys in. There's one little guy. I got two because I went back and got another one. Here it is. Okay, so these are the ones here. These are 120 microfarad, and they go there and there. There and there. Thankfully, there is actually screen printing showing where the positive and negative side goes on this, so it makes it nice and easy for getting it right. There's a big black line, big black crescent where the negative goes, and then there's a little plus where the positive goes. It's probably easier to use the little black crescent because the little plus signs are all over the shop and they sort of run into other plus signs and stuff like that. So when I put these in, I'm just going to give a slight little bend to these pins just so the component doesn't fall out. I'm not one of these people that likes to bend the bejesus out of them because it makes it difficult for removal. And one of the main things I need to do is remove components. And it just annoys me when there are bent, really bent pins. It just makes my job a little bit harder. So I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for the next guy or girl. Okay. So, has anyone seen the new... excuse me. Has anyone seen the new Jurassic Park movie? I'm thinking about watching it tonight. Is it any good? Lie to me. The very first Jurassic Park movie, the very firstest one, that is the only movie that I have seen thrice in the cinema. I enjoyed it that much. Here it has dinos. Dinorific. Drink wine to watch that movie. I drink wine to watch any movie. I wonder what it'd be like to watch a movie without wine. Okay. Let's have another look-see here. So we're getting there. We've only got, what, 5 more caps to stick on, so pretty straightforward. 47016. Where are you hiding? 47016. And you go here, and there's your Negatoro. There's your Positivo. Caps. I'm supposed to be going to a show tonight. Out to a live show. It is a show I've seen before. And I am going to be seeing it again by the sounds of it. Saw Star Trek 2009 3 times in the theatre. Yeah, so that's you talking about the first remake of the Star Trek, the one with Christopher Pine as Kirk, and what's his name, Carl Urban as Scotty. Watch the new Top Gun instead. I don't have that. Yeah, Terminator Salvation. I did see that, but I don't remember it. It's ultimately a forgettable film. 1216 volt. Let's find the 1000 first. 1016. There he is. Hello, little fella. It's nice when it just works. Simon Pegg is Scotty, that's right. Carl Urban was Bones. Yeah, I'm just getting them mixed up. I did quite like that first one. It had Eric Banner in it. It had a couple of Aussies in it. We had Chris Hemsworth playing the part of Kirk's father at the very, very beginning. And it had, what's his name? It had Eric Banner as the bad, what was it? Not Vulcans, what's the other ones? I can't remember. It's such a long time since I watched Star Trek. I'm behind on all the Star Trek lingo. Almost got to see The Wrath of Khan in the theatre last month, but they switched with Star Trek '09. J.J. Abrams' lens flare. Yes, it's become iconic, hasn't it? Okay, so we're just going to refer back here to the recapping guide, 1216. He goes here. This is a very thin 1200, isn't it? Skinny little fella. Just like me. Nice. Snippety snip. 2 more caps. They're both the same sort, so that's nice and easy. Whoops. What have I done? I nearly banned Retrotechy. should just check these. 2210. 2210. So I definitely think when it comes to these power supplies, this is the better one to have. The Aztec versus the Sony. I think most of the Sonys need recapping, whereas the Aztec, they have better durability. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think from my experience, that's what it's been like. It's cool the way I turned on the fume extractor and didn't actually put the nozzle anywhere near my head. Stroke of genius, it tells you. Right, okay, so there it is, one freshly recapped. Yeah, I didn't ban you, but I ended up adding your message to the top there. So there we go. Here is the recapped thing. The only cap we didn't replace is this one. And it seems to be okay, so I'm fine with that. These are really expensive too, by the way. If you want to buy a replacement one of those, they're something like $10 a pop or something like that. Well, they certainly are in this part of the world anyway. Right, now we've got to reconnect our little wires here, and we've got our live and our neutral. Live being brune, neutral being blue, and in actual fact on this one it's black. So they've done a half and halfer. Get in there, you little thing, you. Come on. Got it. Got it. He gets in there nice and tight. That's great. Make it easy for soldering, because he will just stay there. No, he's not done yet. If my memory serves correctly, and I haven't seen it in a long time, Wrath of Khan was actually one of the really good Star Trek films. Original Star Trek films, that is. First one was boring as. My goodness. Wrath of Khan was good. Can't remember what the third one was. Fourth one's The Voyage Home. That's a nice bit of silly fun. Oh, Search for Spock. That's the third one. I remember. If I'm ever not sure about these films, I always just check with Jay from the House of Moth. He is the definitive authority on all things Star Trek. Damn, that was a tight fit. Okay. I thought that'd wake you up. Okay, live, neutral, we're all soldered in. Everything's good. Caps are in there. We've got to consider that a good outcome. We'll get some screws, we'll put this together, and then what we'll do is we'll just test it with this board quickly. See if he works. Sounds like someone's fired up a truck or something. It's a largish engine going on somewhere. One screw, one little screw there. Let's get this on. A keyboard, how quaint. Yes, remember that. Hello, computer. I've got to get rid of this little window. It's making it so I can't read the chat. Thank you. I can stop looking at that now. I can start looking at this and give you guys my undivided attention. 42 folks watching. Thank you very much for joining in my fun here. This is the first of what I hope to be 2 recapping little projects today, and this will wrap up one customer. And this person did say with this to ultrasonic clean if it needs it. It's a really clean power supply. I really don't think it needs ultrasonic cleaning, so I haven't done that. The other thing is, of course, when you ultrasonically clean these sorts of capacitors, this aluminum or aluminium at the top, it does react during the ultrasonic cleaning process, and it tends to go black. So I will really only ultrasonic these if I have to. It doesn't damage them, but it just looks awful. It's sort of like, hey, you've put brand new caps into this. Why are they all black? All right, so here's a power supply. Here's our finished power supply. I'm pretty sure the guy said this board works. So we're just going to jump up to the top view for a second here. And we will plug this in, because we're rebels, like that. Oh wow, there's some gunk on there. This definitely needs ultrasonic cleaning, this board. We'll see if it starts up. If it doesn't, it's no biggie. The thing needs recapping anyway. I'll get myself a speaker. Oh, I just dropped a whole stack of CPUs. I shouldn't have tangled them in with the speaker. I'm not looking forward to picking those up. You know. Okay. Okay. Not happy, Jan. Where are the rest of them? There's one. There's one. I'm hunting CPUs. I think that's all of them. I'm pretty sure there are only 5. All right. We're better now. I'm going to move the camera again. There we go. Okay, so power supply, speaker. What we're hoping is we'll just get a nice chime when we power it on, and not some sort of unexpected explosion. Whoa. Right. Are we ready? 3, 2, 7. I don't know if you heard that, but a chime. It was pretty quiet, and that's probably because there's electrolytic guns here. Let's just check the voltage. Kai Wheats KM601 digital multimeter. Lots of features, low price. So let's just pop this up here. See, some people, they have these fancy multimeters that allow them to project the results onto screen. Justin. But me, I have this beautiful big screen here. All right, let's get him in here and him in here. 5 volts. 11.98 volts, that's close enough to 12 for me. And I reckon we'll have a bit of a -5 there. So there we go. Whee! The power supply works. There we go. Links in the description if you'd like to buy yourself a beautiful Kai Wheats KM601 multimeter. I should also mention I am welcoming back my old friends PCB Way. You'll be seeing some discussions about PCB Way in coming videos. So I want to thank PCB Way for reaching out and everything. Just catching up on this. Steve, you can take the credit. Thank you very much again for that link to your video. To your recapping guide. I do appreciate that very much. that saved me some hassle indeed. So now it's time to recap this. Now this is an LC3. We've got a few caps floating around here, and I don't know if you can see with the light. Maybe can you see the smudge around here? You can see how it's not reflecting the light as well. And we've got the same around here near this chip. There's a little bit of dark there, and we're bound to have the same up in this edge here. The biggest problem I always have with these is just getting all these caps off without melting things, and that's why I use my little heat shields like this, little blades that I pop in here, because I like to use hot air. I was watching a video the other day with the president of the Australian Computer Museum Society. If you are an Australian, do consider joining the Australian Computer Museum Society, because they are all about the preservation of vintage computers, and they get given quite a lot of computers from big companies saying, hey, you know, we've got these old things, we want them preserved, we don't want to throw them away, and they donate them to the Australian Computer Museum Society. And great people there, and anyhow, the president, Adrian, I was watching him do a recap on a Classic 2 the other night, and he was using these sorts of things to remove the caps. And I have to tell you, I cannot condone that. If people want to do it, that's fine, but I can't condone it. But Adrian is a very clever guy, so I just have to say, PCB stands for printed circuit board. We all know that. PCB way. PCB way. Quality stuff, I've got to tell you. Been incredibly happy with PCB way. I've done lots of orders with them, lots of things, you know, whether it be blue SCSIs, the DB25s, or the original blue SCSIs, the SCSI 2SDs, you know, I mean, yeah, always been very, very happy with PCB way. Always. I've never used any of their assembly, what do you call it? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll change the view before I get a rude text from Jay. You can see a lot of the old gunk bubbling away there. And of course it stinks. And you will have to take my word for it, but it stinks. I get messages. I get messages from people when I forget to go to microscope view. Messages from my fellow Maciakians. Now that's an interesting looking thing there. I don't know if you guys are seeing it. It might be nothing, but this trace here looks to be in pretty horrendous condition. So we're going to have a little bit of a look at that one up closer. It's black, it's not green. It's not easy being green, but it's even worse looking like that. Yuck. Alright, let's move along. Whoops. Whoops. Oh, come on. You thing. Ryan. See you, Ryan. Thank you very much for joining. I apologise if I got boring. It happens sometimes. Is Kapton tape better than aluminium foil for heat shielding in these situations? Kapton tape is amazing stuff. I actually did a test when I first got this aluminum foil that I use. The Kapton tape did almost as good a job as the aluminum did. It's amazing stuff. So if I'm working very, very close to a piece of plastic, what I will often do is I use these metal heat shields, but I'll wrap the plastic in some Kapton tape as well. And the addition of that just gives me that extra layer of defense. It works quite well. My goodness, look at this. Now, if that isn't a bunch of capacitor snot, I don't know what is. That's just awful. It's awful. Just awful. rocket. You're not boring. I have to feed hungry children. Fair enough. I understand. Tech Doc back. Hello. Welcome back. 2CI is cured. Geez, I love the 2CI. And every time I think about the 2CI, all I want to do is I want to go play with it. Because I've got a 2CI, as I mentioned many times before, because it is one of my favourite computers. It was one of the ones that I really wanted to get early on. It was like, when I started collecting and getting back into the old computers, like, I really want to get a 2CI. And I have a 2CI, and I love my 2CI, and I use my 2CI, and it has, don't hate me for this, it has a 68040 radius rocket in it, and it goes like the clappers. I love that sound when you switch it on. It goes bling, and then the little rocket loads, and it goes whoosh, and then it goes bling. It chimes again as it starts again using the radius rocket, and you put the RAM on the rocket card itself. So when you put RAM on the main logic board of the computer that you're using the rocket with, that RAM only needs to be enough RAM to do that initial startup phase, because it then doesn't use that RAM. Once it boots into the radius rocket, it uses the RAM on that. And I've got 64 megabytes of RAM, so 416s in my radius rocket. I did load it up with 8 once and it didn't work, but I don't know why, and I couldn't be bothered finding out why, because who needs 128 on a CI anyway? And what are you going to do with it? I X you. Bit of gunge there. We're going to clean this up as well, so we're going to hit that with the scalpel blade. Give it a bit of a scrape, be scrape. This one's also got some pretty bad leakage. It's funny. I mean, he made no mention of the leakage when he sent this over. He just said, "Oh, LC3 works, but I'd like to get a recap, please." Well, if I would have mentioned, has some terrible leakage on the board. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter either way. Knowing that it works to start off with means that if it doesn't work when I'm finished, it's something I've done wrong. Awesome, putting in more RAM so I can run AUX. Yeah, I've never bothered to do that, but I should someday. Oh, okay, so the tech doc is a kill. Aha! Promoting a new channel there, are you, Isakill? Do you have some fancy content as the tech doc? Do you do some tech doc stuff? I'm trying to find the little springs that I use. I think they're under here, under stuff and things. Oh, I've got to test this. I really need to test this, but I don't have anything to test it with. Oh, no, I do. I just need to recap it first. Yeah, okay. I've got a customer's board. I'm going to test it with a customer's board. Is that unprofessional? Maybe. I've got something that works in an SE30, but the SE30 I have has the chip that's soldered down, not the socketed one, and I need a socketed one. Requires a minimum of 8 megabytes. How can you have less than 8 in a 2CI? Come on. It's got 8 slots. Come on. You just put in ones. I'm going to use my aluminum here for heat shielding, and the reason why I'm using it is because I can kind of shape it. I can shape it to go around this little RAM slot, and then I'll just use a heat shield to protect that. Now, is there anyone here can tell me anything interesting about these caps on the LC3? These three little caps down here near the power connector. These ones. There's something interesting about these caps, and I never hear the bloody end of it. Wow, look at the corrosion on this one. Off. Oh, he popped. He popped. The silk screen's backwards on one of them. Yes, that is correct, Sadmac 356. 356. Sorry, I thought that looked like an 8 there for a second. I thought, you changed your name. One of the caps is on backwards. Yes, so that's apparently the case. That is apparently the case. One of the caps is on backwards. Apparently. That's what the word on the street is. Alright, I just picked up the wrong thing. I'm going to attempt to pick up the right thing this time. There we go. So, we're going to need some flux. And ouch! And we're going to need to burn our fingers on something hot. Look at that. Isn't that awful? It just looks like some sort of snot. It's not snot, but it looks like snot. Well, maybe it is snot. Someone blew their nose on it. It's always possible. As I've said many times on my YouTube videos before, I do burn myself regularly, but I rarely burn myself on the soldering iron. I usually burn myself on things that the soldering iron has made hot, and then I've kind of got complacent and forgotten about it. So the end of tweezers or my heat shields, or you know, or a cap that I've removed, something like that, and I'll just end up burning myself on something else. Capacitor snot. This capacitor seems to have blown its nose on your computer here. Time's at 2 o'clock. I just realised I haven't had breakfast, but I'm going to be heading towards lunch soon, and I'll start getting hangry. Okay. Oh, Justin's off, are you? Good night, Justin. Thank you for joining. Once again, I do apologise to everyone that I'm streaming so late. I know it's outside of the realms of comfort for a lot of people, depending on which part of the world you're in. I think this blade might need replacing. How's it look? It's not too bad. Yeah. 11 PM here for me. That's not too bad. It is a Friday night. It's Saturday morn here. Yeah, I went out Thursday night, Friday night. I'm going out tonight as well. It's a lot for an old man like me. My weary old bones. I'm having real trouble getting in here for scrapage. It's just a really bad angle. I wonder if I can just do this with a bit of flux and wick. Okay, let's now see if we can fix this up without melting anything. I have to come at it from this angle. Okay, that's all right. That's okay. I'm happy with that. We've cleaned that. That's the really dirty ones now cleaned up and coated. The others I'll just put a little bit of UV mask on them. I have a fiberglass scratch pen. It works better for some things than it does for others. I probably should have tried it on that. And of course, really important thing with a fiberglass scratch pen, you've got to make sure everything's clean. Once you put flux on there, it becomes kind of unmanageable. Right, so that section is all cleaned up satisfactorily. Enough for me. It's good enough for me. Hopefully it's good enough for you as well. Man, this thing is going to benefit from ultrasonicking. King. I'm going to build a few blue scuzzies as well. I've had a few orders come in. Running low on a few bits and pieces. I'm going to have to order some more. Ordered some more blue pills the other day. But one thing that was very nice is that Eric from Blue Scuzzy fame, Eric Helgeson, I got a whole bunch of blue pills that didn't work. And so he had a look at them and found out why they didn't work and then wrote firmware for them. So now I've got 15 blue pills that I thought I was just going to have to chuck in the bin that I can now turn into blue scuzzies. It's like, thank you, Eric. My fiberglass pen is actually just here. Hello, fiberglass pen. And I just dropped something. When you're using wick, you've got to make sure that if the solder dries, if the solder solidifies while the wick is still on there, don't yank the wick. Go back there and apply some heat, not the solder, and then remove it. Otherwise you'll tear things off the board. And we don't want that. I'm just going to get a new blade. This one's got a notch in it, and so I'm getting funny little shapes when I do the scraping. Time for tidying up. What? I just tidied up a few weeks ago. What are you talking about? Okay. One of the things that always motivates me to clean up this workshop is when someone sends me a Macintosh 2 or a 2X or a 2FX to work on, because those boards are so ridiculously large. I can get by with a little Colour Classic or a Classic or an LC and squeeze them into a little spare space on the desk. Anyone else watching The Boys Season 3? No spoilers, please, because I am still working my way through it. Love that show, The Boys. One of the best things to be on TV in quite a while. The satirical nature of it is just brilliant. Have any of your repaired items returned for more fixes? Yes, I do. I had one just recently, actually, and this was a very annoying one. I managed to sort it out, but this guy sent me a logic board to recap, and I recapped it, and that was all fine and dandy. And then when he got it home, it didn't work. So he sent it back to me. It didn't work for me either. Then I thought, oh, it's the ROMs. So I replaced the ROMs and it worked. And then later on it stopped working again. And it turned out it wasn't the ROMs. It was something on the board that wasn't, it was making intermittent connection based on the position of the board. So when I was using it, it was all working and everything, that's fine, because it was just the board was bending in a particular way. And then when he put it in, it was just the slight, shape change or whatever of the board was enough to stop it from working again. So once I found the rogue component, I resoldered him down with a nice fresh solder, and that fixed it. But that was a right pain in the backside, because, essentially it worked when it left here and stopped working when it arrived. And of course, another very common thing that happens these days is people go, "Oh, my Mac Classic needs recapping. I'm getting checkerboards or whatever." Well, they don't necessarily say that to me. They'll just say, "Oh, my Mac Classic needs recapping," and I'll recap it and I'll send it back to them. And then they go, "Oh, it's still not working." And it's like, "Yeah, well, you're probably going to have to send me the analog board as well." That happens a lot. The SE30 from Javier Joe. Oh, guess what? I've got news for you guys. I am getting that board. You know this board that's been on its way to me from the States now for over a year? I'm getting it next weekend. So, hooray. We'll finally get a chance to have a look at that board and see if we can find the problem. It'd be so funny if it just arrived here and I couldn't fix it at all. I'm optimistic. I want to hope that I can fix it. I'd like to believe that I can fix it. There aren't many SE30s that leave this place unfixed. Mr. Fix-It Man. I'm a fixer. I'll tell you one person who's been making my life so much easier. Tech Knight. Some of you may remember Tech Knight from some of the videos that he has done, and that he is on Tinker Different, and he's very prolific. He's on there quite a lot. And I'm telling you, he just makes my life so easy, because people go, "I'm having a problem with this computer," and then he just gives them all these tips, and it just saves me from having to do it. That's great, because he knows so much more than I do. He is one clever cookie, that Tech Knight. Okay, just checking to make sure that we've got continuity across all these ugly little traces. Just checking. Yeah, it is always satisfying to repair things. The worst ones are intermittent problems, where you are trying to fix something and it works sometimes. Like this stupid classic I've got here at the moment. Stupid! Handy enough to keep getting arrested. I'm not sure what the reference is there. Did I misread that? We need to clean. We need to clean. So weird. We're going to need some UV mask around here, or we are going to end up with some inadvertent shorts. Reminds me, I've got to do this video. There's a video that I've written a script for. I've got it all sort of sorted out. I'm just going to record it. And it's one that I'm doing on what to do if your recap doesn't work afterwards. Sorry about me fondling the microphone, it's just digging in here. Horst is here. Hello, Horst. I'm so handy. Love a good puzzle. Why haven't you fixed Justin's 2CI yet, Jay? I jest, of course, because the reason he hasn't is because I haven't sent him the parts for it. We're basically just trying to expand Jay's experience with beige. We're trying to get him to buy a beige G3, a G3 tower. One came up on Facebook, and because Jay really likes the blue and white G3, and we're trying to convince him that the G3 tower, beige G3 tower, is the same CPU, but it's better because it's still got ADB and things like that. And it's beige. I love beige. It's not happening. Oh, come on, Jay. Where's your sense of adventure? Think of how much fun you had restoring those beige Macs. Don't try and tell me you didn't. You loved it, every minute of it. Now, where was that ugly bit? Here it is. This is that ugly bit that I uncovered first. Ugly. Right here. Can't really see it because there's a reflection on it, but it's a very dark bit of trace here. Looks like we have copper all the way along, so it's still connected, but we do need to clean it up. Do our due diligence. You saw that? Yes, I love my G3 Tower as well. Unfortunately, it's one of the ones that I have in my storage unit because I don't really have the space to keep it on hand here. But I'm very happy to have it. The ones that I keep here at the house are generally, I've got a 6100, I got a 660 AV, 2CI, I think I might even have the 2CX here, but 2CX might have got put away. I've got Classic 2 SE, SE30, Plus, 512KE. I think that's probably it. I've got maybe a few more floating around in various places around the house, but the majority of my collection is now in a storage unit because I don't have space. Micro Major Repair is here. Hello, welcome. Thank you very much for joining. For anyone who is actually just joining recently, we're working on at the moment an LC3. Well, strictly speaking, it's an LC3 Plus, or perhaps one of the Performer range. It's like the LC3, but is a slightly faster CPU. And it's just getting recapped. It had some real ugliness in terms of capacitor leakage and a little bit of corrosion to some traces, which I've tidied up. And we're going to need to put in a little bit of UV mask because when I put tantalum caps in place of these electrolytics, the tantalum cap pins are wider than the original electrolytic pins, so they hang off the edge of the original pad. And if you have anything near the edge of the original pad that might have an exposed trace, you can end up inadvertently creating a short. Not a long, a short. And so in particular, there's one spot here, right here. And you can see if I were to put a cap down here that has the wider pin on the cap, if it hangs over and hits that, we'll be in all sorts of mischief and strife. One of the things I do have to do here is get all of this flux off because I'm going to put some UV mask on, and UV mask needs to stick on a clean board, not a dirty one, otherwise it won't stay. Timex Sinclair 2068. The old Timex Sinclair, eh? I would like one of those, but they're just going for stupid money these days. I love the really early 80s micros, the old home computer micros. It's just because they were, they were becoming like a little consumer product, the way they used to make them. They were quite small at the time, and some of them had the rubbery keys. Love those rubbery keys. Oh, I found more yuckiness. We'll clean that off. It was so dark I didn't see it. Incidentally, the LC3 can easily be overclocked. There are sort of guides and instructions and stuff on how to do it. You just, I think, shift some resistors around and you can increase the clock speed. Now, of course, you do so at your own risk. If you are running the CPU at a higher clock speed than it was meant to run at, you have to be prepared for perhaps some stability issues, or maybe it will run hot. But you can always replace the CPU with a faster one. The great thing about those 80s micros was they made computers available for the rest of us. We could actually afford to have a computer in our home. So up until that point, you couldn't. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day from the car club that I'm in, and he was saying, "Man, I watched this video the other day and it was excellent. But it just came on one of the channels, one of the streaming services." And he said it was Steve Jobs, the Lost Interviews. This guy is not a computer guy at all. But he was just saying how amazed he was, how incredibly impressed he was with Steve Jobs. He said, I knew he was from Apple, but I really didn't know anything about the guy. And after watching that interview with him, he just had so much respect for him with how articulate he was. And I thought, oh, that's cool. He's a non-computer guy who basically watched that whole interview and found it incredibly entertaining. Just because of the content of Jobs' character. Doop-be-doop-be-doop. What's the name of that American guy that does the painting? With the curly hair? I'm doing a bit of him at the moment. So we're just going to go ahead and put a little bit of green in here. Bob Ross, that's it. Can't say I've ever watched it, but I've certainly seen plenty of parodies on it. All right, time for the laser. This is my UV laser. And we're going to cure this UV solder mask with our UV laser, because that's what it does. Happy trees. Happy little solder mask. So I'm getting it from all these comments that he says happy a lot. So just a reminder to folks that oftentimes when you don't see what I'm working on, and that's because when I look through here, I see a great big circle, but what gets captured by the camera is a rectangle. And so I can see stuff in here that you guys can't see. So it's bad. I will clean the excess off with the pads, but I'm actually going to scrape that off with the blade rather than trying to do it with a Q-tip or something like that, because they're too big. See, if I get like a Q-tip to try and wipe it off, look, see how big it is? I'm going to clear away the stuff I don't want cleared away. So it'll be easier for me to get in there with the tip of a scalpel blade and just scrape off the stuff that's on the pads. You can actually see that the stuff is hardening. It gets a very different look about it. It stops being sort of shiny and starts getting more of a matte finish. Hello, Matt. There we go. Looking good. Cars and coffee in Medlow Bath tomorrow morning. I can promise you I absolutely will not be there. Now, there is a very good reason for me not being there, and that is that I am on the Tinker Different board. So, Tinker Different, haven't heard of it, tinkerdifferent.com, go and check it out. It's an online forum, lots of people on there sharing their projects, sharing their brains, helping out with stuff. A really, really good online forum. So check out Tinker Different if you haven't, tinkerdifferent.com. Really, really wonderful online forum. A lot of the time when people contact me and they say, I've got a problem with this computer, can you help? I just say to them, well, jump on a Tinker Different, ask. The people will be able to, you can talk it over with people and that. It's like, because I don't have time. I really don't have time to go in and give people, sort of one-on-one tech support. So I just send them to Tinker Different. It's the way to go. But anyhow, I digress. I'm on the board of Tinker Different, and we have a board meeting tomorrow morning. So we're supposed to have a board meeting tomorrow morning. It's so hard to wrangle everyone together from all the different time zones, though. Right, what caps have I got here? LC3. Let's grab a recapping guide. LC, LC2, LC475. Where's my 3? Don't tell me I haven't printed one. LC3, here it is. Here it is there. It's there, here it is there. So I'm looking at 2, these ones here. They are 10 microfarad, 16 volt. I'm just going to pop these on. Oh, how long have I been streaming for? 2 hours. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I reckon we'll probably get this finished in the next 30 minutes. That's like 2.5 hours. That's 2 things recapped. Can't ask for much more than that, can you? Well, you can ask, but you probably won't get it. Stop sticking to my tweezers. Eric's off, is he? Eric? Off to bed. Good night. Thanks for joining, Eric. Do appreciate it. Boop, 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 boop. Tacky flux. Tacky flux. NC559 ASM TF. Now that is the one that I like to use the most. Some people like to use other ones, but I quite like this one. It is odorless. Has UV tracer. Oh God, I've got to do a video on it. I really do need to do a video on it. Boop-a-doop. Tantalum capacitors have a stripe on them, and that stripe is telling you which side is positive. Don't let yourself get caught out by the tricky thing, and that is the stripe is on the negative side on electrolytic capacitors. It will break your brain. Alright, so they look okay. Just got to see if I need to do any more UV masking. Who's masking? Alright, let's Let's just look and see what we've got here. We've got a 100 microfarad 6.3 volt. I'm going to put him on a happy little capacitor here. Because to hell with you, that's why. Yes, exactly. I have been getting lots of new subscribers lately on my channel. Getting more activity than I normally get on the channel, which is nice. I never complain about that. But if you happen to be someone watching me do a live stream for the first time, first of all, please always feel free to jump in and say hello in the chat. Always like to hear from new folks. That's number one. The other is just letting you know that in terms of the content on my channel, I tend to do two things. I have pre-recorded videos. Most of those are on sort of technical stuff, repairs, methods, techniques, that sort of stuff, soldering methods and techniques. And then the other thing I have are these live streams, and these are basically just me live streaming the repairs that people send me. So people send me vintage Macintosh computers for repair and recapping, which is obviously the process of replacing old leaky capacitors with fresh new ones. And I live stream a lot of those repairs, and it's a nice friendly community group of people. Often we see the same sort of faces here. I totally appreciate that if you're watching this after the fact, so in other words, you've maybe clicked on it to watch well after the stream has happened. I totally understand that it loses some of the social impact if you don't get an opportunity to join in the chat, and I do realise that, and these videos are mainly made for the benefit of the people who are actually able to join and be part of the live chat. Of course, it's all very social. So that's kind of my thing. Yeah, I've to be honest, I've never counted the number of streams. I can probably do it. YouTube would probably tell me. I'll tell you. If I go here to YouTube Studio, and I go here to just see the word YouTube Studio. Yeah, I am cheating. Dana Does Stuff is here. Hello, Dana. How are you today? Community until Jay shows up. What you been up to, Dana? Anything interesting? Are you going to go and get that G3 tower? Seeing as Jay doesn't want it. Content. And then we'll go to live. Where's the number? 257. Oh my goodness, that's more than I thought. I'd have thought 100 at most. Oh man, far out. First time watching live because I'm in the UK. Happened to wake up early because it's so warm here. What sort of warm are we talking about, just out of curiosity? Thank you very much for joining ENS Computers. As I do sometimes, when I stream later in the day, I do sometimes get people from the UK and other parts of Europe, but I realise that most of the time I stream in a fairly UK unfriendly time, which is sort of, it's not deliberate, it's mainly just because, I mean it is deliberate, but it's not deliberately against the UK, it's mainly just because so many of my viewers and subscribers are from the US, so I try and stream it at a time that suits them. But having said that, I have done an occasional later in the day stream where people from Europe can join in. Already have one, they take up a lot of room. Fair enough, I understand, Dana. I know that feeling. I mean, I think if one came up for it free or really, really cheap close to me, I'd probably still grab it even though I already have one and I don't have room for another one. And I mean that most sincerely. Okay, I just realised I've got some more blackening around the traces around here. You can see stuff here. There's a big black blob there. And then there's some around here as well. So I'm going to clean that up. I'm tempted to just put a little bit more UV mask down here. No harm in it. I'm really annoyed with the way this paintbrush has got this little strand sticking out. Just say the word, oh. I hate Phil Collins. Since we left on the Mayflower. God, I wish it was hot here. Heat wave could get to 40 degrees C in some parts. I'm in southwest, so we'll get to 36. Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very common sort of temperature for here, but I know it's not so much for there. I didn't clean here well enough, did I? This is turning out to be a bit of a bodge job. I'm going to have to... I'll dry this off and then I may end up having to scrape some of this off. It's a mess. It's such a mess. Phil Collins is a god. I like In the Air Tonight. Didn't really like the stuff he did with Genesis. Okay, we're UV musky curing here. How can you hate Phil Collins? Yeah, I mean, look, I've got nothing against him personally. He seems like a pretty decent sort of bloke, but I just don't really like much of his music. Ow! Scalpel blade. Hurts. It's summer here and the furnace just started. Gosh. We had a pathetic summer last year. So disappointed. And the beginning of this year. It just rained and it never got proper hot. I just don't like that. When it's summer, I like it when it's proper summer. I like it when it gets really sticking hot. I hate the cold. I mean, at the moment here now, it is 15 degrees Celsius. And that for me is just like too cold. I mean, it's the middle of the day. It should be warmer than 15 in the middle of the day. I get it getting that cold at night time, but yeah. For anyone who's been following along with me talking about my bathroom renovation, we haven't had that much more done since the last I talked about it. So we have all the tiling is done, we have a functional bath, we have a functional vanity, we have cabinet in there, we have a functional toilet. The shower is all plumbed, but we don't have a shower screen up yet, so we can't really use it, otherwise the whole bathroom will get wet. What else? We haven't got electricity in there yet. The electrician was supposed to come this week, but he damaged his truck, and so he's having to wait for it to get repaired before he can come out and work. So hoping he will come out on Monday, and he's going to put in the ceiling light and the ceiling heater and the exhaust fan, and he's going to wire up the underfloor heating and put in a couple of power points in there, and that will be nice. And then all we have to do then is wait for the shower screen, and if we're lucky we may see the shower screen next week, but I'm not going to place bets on that. I would work for free for 50 degrees Celsius. It's 95 F here. Hell on earth. Yeah, I like that. I like the heat. Like the heat, don't like the cold. That's why I'm sort of jiggling. I'm constantly jiggling because I'm friggin' cold. You dry yet? Yeah, it looks like it's dry. All right, let's go back and do this cleaning that I should have done before. All right, let's get out the fiberglass pen, shall we? Because it was something we were talking about before. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to give it a scrapey scrape. Oh, that's an awful noise. Oh, that's an awful noise. Oh, that's an awful noise. It does do it. It does do it, but I definitely think in certain circumstances, yes. But I definitely prefer to use my scalpel. These are surgical scalpels that I use. It was good to have them on hand because I do like to do a bit of DIY surgery here and there. You know, I just jump onto YouTube, do a few self-help things, you know. Whip out your appendix yourself, that sort of stuff. It's amazing what you can find on YouTube. A little bit of DIY heart surgery even. Triple bypass, so keep these scalpels around for that. Okay, that looks better. Okay. Howard Jones lives about 15 miles from me. You mean like, what is love anyway? Does anybody love anybody anyway? That Howard Jones. Sorry about the really poor pitch on that. There's a little pitchy dog. Like to get to know you well. Like to get to know you well. Like to get to know you well, so we can be one, we can be one together. That Howard Jones. Yes, okay. I like Howard Jones, I have to admit. That is my era, of course. Because I'm an old fart. I grew up really with 80s pop music. For those who are Australian in the chat here, I grew up watching Countdown with Ian and Molly Meldrum. Yeah, I was definitely a fan of Howard Jones, liked his stuff. Oh no, my heater's gone out. Thought it was getting cold. Come on. Still gas in there. No, there isn't. No, there definitely is not gas in there. Piffle. Piffle with a capital Piff. Oh, never mind. I'm just going to have to freeze my nads off for the rest of this live stream. The sacrifices I make. Just tell Howard to subscribe to my channel. I can say hello to him when I do a live stream. Oh no, I'm bleeding. Where's GT? Is Greg Thompson in the chat so he can say, "Oh, it must be a Grudy live stream." Care to trade outdoor temperature? Yeah, I'd be happy to. In all honesty, we're really well set up for stinking hot temperatures here. Much better than we are for cold temperatures. So, for instance, in the house, we've got an air conditioner in every bedroom. So I've got a great big air conditioner in the main living area. Then I've got an air conditioner in my office. My wife has an air conditioner in her office. I've got an air conditioner in the bedroom. I've got an air conditioner down here. We're pretty well set up for, stinking hot weather over here. So, yeah, I mean, if it was ridiculously hot, I'd be able to actually get the house nice and cool. I mean, probably the highest temp we've ever had here was probably about, I think we got up to 46 or 47 degrees Celsius once. That's probably about the hottest we've ever had. Normally, a normal summer we'll get a few 45 degree days, not many, mostly just sort of high 30s. But even on those days when it's like, if it's like 46 degrees or something like that, I can still get the house, inside the house, lovely and cool. If this gets really bad, you just head to a shopping centre or something like that. Sorry, my chicken just had a little bit of a conniption. Yes, I would be happy to restore a synthesizer for Howard. Of course, I don't really work on them, but that's okay. I'm sure he'll have a bit of faith. I've heard that he's quite posh. Like he's very, very kind of very well spoken. Actually, natural gas fueled heater that will get my house really toasty. Yeah, so we use reverse cycle air conditioning here. Reverse cycle air conditioning is probably one of the most efficient ways you can heat, but one of the problems with reverse cycle air conditioning is that it really only works if the temperature is kind of above, maybe it's probably above 0 degrees Celsius. If you start getting below 0, they just can't efficiently do that heat transfer anymore. So it's heating that works for here. It's fine. We can get the house lovely and toasty because it doesn't really get cold enough to warrant having a gas heater. We used to have a gas heater, but gas is really bloody expensive. So so we have reverse cycle air conditioning. And as I say, it works pretty darn well. What's this little guy here? He is a 10 microfarad 16 volt. I'm doing this in a very unconventional way today. Normally, I go in and put all the caps on in a very structured way, but I'm putting them on in order of kind of like how bad the pads were. So, go figure. Beep, 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 beep. We're getting close to the end here, folks. This has taken a lot longer than I expected because of the state of disrepair. I had no warning with this one. I actually thought it was going to be all right. I'd like to get to know you well. I'd like to get to know you well. Natural gas is dirt cheap in southwestern USA. Yeah, gas is expensive here for lots of silly reasons which I won't go into. Because it, yeah. I will not go into those reasons why gas is so expensive here. Especially when we get so much of it locally. But anyhow, it's another story. We just have to get down to minus 30 Fahrenheit where I live, and it horrifies me. Yeah, that's just, well, minus 30 Fahrenheit is the same as, it's like minus 30 Celsius as well. That's where they merge, where the temperature scale actually meets at about minus 30. Oh, I got my super chat. I got my super chat. I love Scotch says, I love Scotch. That's good you love Scotch. I'm more of a vodka person myself. Now, having said that, you know, sometimes on Facebook, you know, they get those clickbaity things where they'll come up with a meme that you're supposed to try and chat in and stuff, and they say, what's the one alcohol that you've had that's turned you off drinking it ever again? And my answer to that is, nothing. I really haven't had any particularly objectionable experiences with any specific alcohol. So, yeah, bring it on. The more the merrier. Everyone seems to have a tequila story. Dun 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 dun. Yes, data miners go away. Yes, it's very true. I just don't answer them. I look at so many people that answer these sorts of things and I sort of think, you know, you do realise they're actually trying to find out stuff about you. Just don't answer. I just ignore those things. I don't see many of them anymore. Because I don't participate. I'm a bit tangled up here. I want to just get this laser free. There we go. So this laser that I use, Jay from the House of Moth just bought the same one, and the reason being that this one is it's quite durable. This is the one that I've been using for quite a while now. The output is pretty good. It does definitely cure things quite quickly. but it seems to be a pretty durable one. It's lasted me for quite a while. I like the fact that you can focus the point if you want to. You can actually turn it into a little pointy to the point that you can actually start burning things. Can you see the smoke coming off? There we go. Stop burning now. Yeah, I've never had that sort of cold. I've never been exposed to that sort of cold. I don't ever want to be exposed to that sort of cold. It's just not right. It's just not right. The coldest I think I've probably ever experienced here, where I live now, is probably about maybe -3 degrees C, something like that. Maybe -5 at a pinch. So I've just heard, just come through the system here, that Jay from the House of Moth has left the chat. Did he say goodbye? Did anyone see him say goodbye? But he has left the chat and he is now sitting on the couch at home. He's probably going to be watching some sort of movie or TV series. And I just want to say, for someone who nags me to do live streams so often, I'm very disappointed he didn't stick around to the end. Very disappointed. N62BMW, hello there. Hello from Orange County. Hello right back at you from Sydney. And if anyone is ever curious about where in Sydney I am in Western Sydney. For those who might know the fancy landmarks, things like the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House and stuff like that, it'd probably take me about, depending on traffic, probably 35 minutes to get to them if I wanted to go to them. If I wanted to go drive across the Harbour Bridge, that's about how long it would take me to get there. But yeah, about a 35-minute drive, I would say. If I wanted to go to Bondi Beach or something like that, that's probably a little bit further for me. It'd probably take me maybe up to an hour, I suppose. Horst is off. Are you off? He did say, time for me to skedaddle, folks. Have a good one several minutes back. Okay, Horst. Well, thank you for letting me know that. Well, at least he did say that. So I shan't say terrible things about him anymore. But I did miss that. I do miss a lot of stuff that happens in the chat. Because I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this. Concentrating on this. Making old computers good again. It's Bondi, yeah. Bondi Beach. You can imagine that. That'd go down well. Whoops. And emu, that's another word that we say that I think Americans often say emu. But it is pronounced emu. That's the bird I'm referring to. The second largest bird. The largest, of course, being the ostrich. And I tell you, I love emus. They are just the cheekiest things. Don't see very many of them around where we are. Lots of beautiful birds around here that we do see, though. We were actually just watching the other day when I was out doing some shopping, watching a whole flock of sulphur-crested cockatoos that were just sitting on the top of a truck. I can't get to that without melting plastic. So I'm going to need a different tip. Whoop. Whoop. Oops. Melting. Ah, I got it on plastic. That's going to stink the place out. Stink it out. One of the birds that we see a lot of these days, we didn't used to, and that's mainly because we've destroyed all their habitats, so they've moved into the urban areas, is the Australian white ibis. They're a big bird. They're a real unit. And of course they have a great big long hooked beak, which you expect from an ibis. And they have received the, I think, quite unfair nickname here of bin chicken. And the reason for that is they do a lot of foraging in garbage bins. And so they call it trash cans, as my American friends would say. And so we call them here bin chicken. And as I say, I think it's unfair because they are actually quite a beautiful bird. We're just seeing their numbers increase. They're one that does quite well from the, with a very broad diet, so they can survive quite well on stuff that we throw away. So they tend to hang around shopping centres and places like that where there might be discarded food. I love them. I really love them. I love them. They're a gorgeous bird. They're very timid though. You can't really get near them. Not like oftentimes things like sulphur-crested cockatoos, corellas, galahs, birds like that. They're quite cheeky and you can often end up getting quite close to them. I'm not saying you can go and pat them, but you can often get quite close to them in the wild. Right, so we've got another 4716 we need to put down. And I think that's it for the 4716s, and then I've just got two more to put down. Thankfully, this isn't an LC2. I do have an LC2 that needs recapping, and I've kind of been putting it off because they have so many friggin' caps. Raccoons are so cute. I've never ever seen one in like up close. I've only ever seen videos of them, but they are so cute. We obviously don't have them here in Australia. We do have cute little possums though. They are cute as well. Incidentally, for those who aren't, sorry, you just didn't see any of what I just did there, I just soldered this cap on. For those who may or may not know, that there is a fuse. It's a self-healing fuse. So if it blows, it will then actually come good again. So just worth mentioning, because a lot of the time when it comes to these, if things aren't working, people go, oh, check the fuse, check the fuse. Oh, the fuse is okay. It's like, yeah, that fuse will be okay. Trust me. Because it fixes itself. 10 microfarad 16, two of those. I thought that hang on, sorry. Skunks are cute too. Yes, they are. Skunks are very cute. Aren't there animals there that could kill a person easily? Here, well, we don't really have any big like apex predators here. There's nothing really like that. We've got snakes, and we've got crocodiles. But see, there are no crocodiles here. We've got sharks in the water, of course. But on the land, there's really not much. Spiders and snakes are really the only thing that are going to kill you. Maybe an angry cassowary. They can kill you. Is it true that wombats poop in cubes? It is indeed true. They do. Wombats do a cubic poop. I think they're possibly the only animal in the world that does a cubic poop. And believe it or not, wombats have actually killed people. Now, admittedly, children. But wombats are this really nuggety little animal, and they burrow holes. And there have been instances that have happened where kids have crawled down the holes, which is not a good idea, of course. The tip for anyone who ever comes to this country, don't ever put your hand, yourself, your head, whatever, down a hole anywhere. Just don't. But anyhow, sometimes kids can crawl into wombat holes, and the wombat actually thinks that the hole's caving in, and so they push up with their stocky little body, and they've squashed, young children that have crawled down their holes. It's very sad. I mean, you can't blame the little wombat for just doing what comes natural, but it has happened. But yeah, I mean, wombats just seem ridiculously cute. I mean, maybe they get really bad-tempered when they get older, but I've always been like, geez, they make nice pets. Because when they're little, they are just so cute. Right, well, I think I'm all recapped. I'm going to just check. Let's change view here. Top view, there we go. Look at that, 2.5 hours. I thought I'd be finished by now, but we're getting close. We will just test this. Just going to clean a little bit some of these places that are a bit gunky. Gunky sound chip. Because I mean, it may still be quiet because we've got all this electrolyte floating around. The sound was a little bit quiet when I tested it initially, and it may still be. Well, it probably won't be restored to full sound until I have ultrasonically cleaned it. We have, of course, the Tasmanian devil. They're angry little things, but they're so localised. And of course, they're very endangered as well. I've run out of paper towel. Not happy about it. Having to use tissues. It's not the same. Yes, galahs are wonderful birds. They're the sort of pinkish sort of cockatoo sort of bird, and they're just lovely birds. They really are. I love them. I love them. Actually, I quite like birds in general. Is your homemade cleaner finished? I have watched most of your vids. It is finished. It is finished. Having said that, it is still kind of a work in progress. So I have got different drivers in here now. They're a different brand to the one that I had before, but they are still prone to problems. And I believe the problems I'm having now are related to the whatever they're called, the transducers. I've been dealing with 2 different companies for the parts, and one of them was incredibly helpful and gave me all sorts of wonderful, insightful stuff as to why I was having so many problems, and I am going to be putting that into my follow-up video. But having said that, I now have this situation where I'm using drivers from one company and transducers from another, and so it makes it very, very difficult, because obviously the people who have got the drivers, they're just going to say, well, the problem is because you're using cheap rubbish transducers, you need to use ours, which is kind of what I intend to do, but replacing the transducers is a pain because the whole thing has to be emptied. I've got to break the old transducers off, because they're glued onto the bottom, and then I've got to glue the new ones on. But anyhow, I am going to be doing a follow-up video. But anyhow, look, the short answer is that it is fully functional. What I am thinking about doing at some stage in the future is buying a 30-litre ultrasonic cleaner. This holds about 22 litres, something like that. But I'm thinking about buying a 30-litre ultrasonic cleaner and taking the guts out of it, the timer, the transducer, not the transducers, I'll probably get transducers from somewhere else, but I'll take out the timer, I'll take out the heater, I'll take all those parts from a 30-litre heater and then put them into this one there. So I'll have the all the thermostat control, I'll have the timer control, I'll have all that sort of stuff for this, and I'll be using the transducers, sorry, the drivers from that 30-litre one. And then all I have to do is then just put new transducers on. I'll probably buy the transducers from the company I bought these drivers from, because they seem to know what they're doing. They build ultrasonic cleaners as well as sending the parts for them. And I'll tell you what, when you see some of these things they build, they're amazing. And they've got engineers that you can actually ask questions. So when I was speaking to their tech support, and admittedly it was all being Google translated, so I was speaking in English and they're speaking in Chinese. When I started asking curly questions that the main support person couldn't answer, they actually got one of their engineers and spoke to the engineers about it, and they came over and gave me all this information. So really, really good. It was excellent. And I'd say all of that's going to be in the follow-up video. Do boats from England with prisoners still arrive weekly in Australia? Probably. No, not that I'm aware of. Sometimes we get some shady folks coming across from there, though. No, but ultimately, no. Yes, no, we haven't actually been a prison colony for quite some time. Yes, a galah is, a galah is like a clown. A galah is a bird, but here in Australia we use the word galah to describe someone who is a bit of a clown. Look at this galah. All right, okay, and that's mainly because galahs are they're kind of clowns themselves, the birds. I tell you what is funny though, sulphur-crested cockatoos. A lot of these cockatoos, people don't realise they live for a really long time. So, like things like a sulphur-crested cockatoo, it's not uncommon for them to live to they're like 90 or something like that. So it's one of the reasons why it's really not a good idea to have them, in captivity, because you take on a bird like that, you're then going to have to find someone to look after it after you die. But anyhow, they are very, very, social. They hang around in groups, and they can just make the biggest mischief. I mean, they will turn up at houses and they will sometimes destroy gutters. They just sit up in the house and they just get up there with their beaks and they just tear bits off the corner of houses and stuff like that, just for fun. It's just because they're how they are. They just entertain themselves by doing that. But the one that I love, and I've seen them do this a few times, is when they get up a tree or something like that and the tree is overhanging a path with people walking along the path, and they just cut bits off the tree and drop them on people, just for the fun of it. It's really fun to watch, because they're just doing it for fun. This thing is bent right out of shape. If I can just get it past here, we'll be fine. Oh, ass. I bend one, the other one goes. Careful! God, I never should have taken this off. I'm just really curious to see what the capacity of this is. Excuse me, I'm dribbling. All right. A bit old for dribbling, or a bit young. It is a big sim, it's a whopper. Galah is like a douchebag. No, not really a douchebag. More like a clown. Right. Okay. We're going to get a few bits and pieces here so that we can test it. We're going to get a speaker. Hello, Mr. Speaker. We are going to get some power. 240 of the finest Australian volts. Shall we check and see how many we've got today? because we don't always have 240. We're going to check today with our Kaiweets KM601 how many of these beautiful Australian volts we're getting today. So there we go into the AC. You look like DC to me. Select AC. There we go. AC volts. This will also tell me what the frequency is. So I'm going to pop that in here and pop you in there. And we'll be looking at 234.565 coming in at 50 hertz. So there you go. So we're not quite 240, but we're more than 230. So isn't that fun? Plug that in. I've got my little screen floating around here. I'm sure if you have watched my live streams before, you will have seen this little screen. This is my little monitor that I bought for my video camera, which actually turns out to be a very, very convenient little screen for testing because it's so small, it's battery operated, and it has a dizzying range of resolutions that it supports for such a tiny little screen. Right there. And then, well, it wouldn't be a proper test without at least a mouse. Let's connect the mouse up. See how confident I am this is going to work? I didn't even bother just to check to see if it chimed. I plugged everything in. Everything. Okay. Ready, steady. I'll bring the microphone down close to the speaker. Go. It chimed. Excuse me. Still a little on the quiet side. That'll probably get sorted out when I get ultrasonic cleaning on it. Doing a memory check at the moment, I dare say. And then this is red. We should see this change to green once the video signal is coming through. Unless, of course, this isn't. Do I need a battery in this to work? No, well, it's got a green light now. No, I don't need a battery in this to work. So anyone who tells you otherwise is lying. You know what I didn't bring with me? I didn't bring a bloody hard device for booting from. They're all upstairs. I'm going to have to go get one. What a silly pickle. All right. Just give me 20 seconds. I'll just nip up and grab one. So I'm just going here to just beware that the backsoon music is loud. So hands by your volume knobs. Maybe a sec. I know that was longer than 20 seconds, sorry. I was going to run up there and then I didn't. Okay, so now I've got a choice. I've got a SCSI 2SD here and I've got a blue SCSI here. Both do the same thing for what I'm doing. I am going to use I'm going to use a blue SCSI today. Don't ever do what I just did. Should not hot plug SCSI. Just shouldn't. Now, I'm going to switch them off and on again. And begin. A quiet chime there. Hit 32 megabyte with parity. Okay, that's Horst's thoughts on this chip. And what have you got? 4 on board? Is that 2 or 4 on board with these, or is it just 1? Sometimes they're stingy and it's just 1. So Okay, what have we got here? We have booted into System 7.1, one of my favourite OSs, I might mention. Let's just go up here to About This Macintosh. And there we go, 36. So that means we've got 4 on board. Just wait till that focuses. Focus. Focus. There we go. That tells us that we have got 32 on board, then 4 on board, and then 32 in that sim. So that's pretty, it's pretty good. What else can I tell you? The system software is showing that it is 31 megabytes being used at the moment, with the largest unused block being 5. Now you might say, why on earth is the system using so much memory? That's a nice easy one. That is basically because mode 32 is not switched on. Sorry, not mode 32. 32-bit memory addressing is not switched on. And when 32-bit memory addressing is not switched on, the most it can recognize is 8 megabytes. And so all the rest just gets assigned to the system there. So if I now go to memory, like thus, and I go here to 32-bit memory addressing and switch him on, be on after restart. Boing. Boing. I'm getting really tired of holding that. Okay, so. So, next thing that's going to happen with this board is I'm going to drop it into the ultrasonic cleaner, give it a really good clean, get rid of all that gunk. It's going to look like sparkling new. Then I'll go in and get some UV solder mask, and I'll touch up some of these exposed areas where I've gone in and scraped away some of that nasty blackness from the traces. And then we consider this done. So this is the great thing about this. This is all of the recapping done for one customer. So I'll be able to get all those boards, bundle them up, send them back, get some pay. Get some pay. Okay, so we're now going to go about this Macintosh, and we should see now with 32-bit memory addressing, the system is now using a far more reasonable amount of space. It's using only 2 megabytes, or just under 3, rather than the 30 that was using before. So we've got all of that memory ready for other things. So, a couple of things. I'm just going to shut this down, and then I'm going to wrap things up. But I just want to have a quick little chat to the folks who are listening and just talk to them about a couple of ideas that I have, and run some things past people and just see what people think. So, camera view change time, and yeah. So, obviously, thank you to everyone who's been watching. I really appreciate it. And for those that have hung around all this time, we've still got 32 of you. Thank you again. If you haven't pressed the like button, please press the like button. So I mentioned a little bit earlier when I was on the stream that some people may not have heard this before. They may not have been here. But just for a little bit of fun, I got my Macintosh LC3, which is connected up to my Ethernet network using a little Farallon network card, 10 base T. And I've got system 7.1 running on it. Again, I like the system. It's pretty lightweight and it runs quite well on a lot of these older Macs. Then I installed the Microsoft Personal Web Server. Now, it has some fairly limited server-side processing that you can do. You can put basic ASP files on there. You can maybe get a form and you can do submissions and stuff like that, but basic. It's not like running like a full-blown PHP or something like that. So, but what you can do is it does work as a web server. You basically put a bunch of files into a location and away you go. I have it up and running at the moment. You could visit it at the moment. I won't send you all there because at the moment it's just running a silly old website of mine from the late 90s. It's a website that it's just when I was getting into sort of web design. I had been doing web design, well, web work, not design, but I've been doing web work for a while, and I decided to try and come up with something interesting, and it's pretty stupid to be honest, but that's irrelevant. And I am planning to set up a website on that server and theoretically have it running all the time, having my LC3 as a web server, serving up some web pages that will be old pages with no SSL certificate. They will run on old computers. You'll be able to visit them with the oldest browsers that are out there pretty much. But it's slow, of course, but I just haven't really I haven't really got that much of an idea of what I want to put on there. You know, I mean, I was thinking about dedicating the website to System 7.1, but there are already System 7 websites out there. I'm not sure whether it might be one where I might just put some information about vintage Macs, something a little bit like low-end Mac to some extent, you know, have some information there, sharing some of the knowledge that I have about some of these things. I haven't really properly thought it through yet, but I'm just curious to see what people think about that, whether they think it's something they might want to go in and check out, go and visit a web page or a website that's actually running on an LC3, an old 68030 beige Macintosh. Obviously, it would run a lot better if I was to stick it on, say, an 040, and I may do that later on, we'll see. But to start off with, I thought it'd be fun to get a website running on an 020, or I could even run it on my my 2CI with the Radius Rocket, maybe, something like that. So anyhow, I make your website with BB Edit. Oh, I will. BB Edit is what I use for most of my coding. I quite like using it. Claris homepage and do old school. Yeah, I mean, I will probably build it. See, one of the things with old HTML is with modern HTML, you can place things in different positions. You can set the location, top, left. You can set up position absolute or position relative, and you can position things. Back in the old HTML1 days, you couldn't do that. If you wanted something in a particular position, you would have to do it using tables. So you would create a table, and then you would make the width of the columns in the table a certain width, and the height of the rows a certain height or something, and then you would place things at different positions in the tables to make it look like you are actually positioning them with an XY coordinate. And that's sort of how you had to do things, and that's what I will be doing. And so I'll probably end up using what was that product called? Fire something. There was obviously Dreamweaver and something else, another product that came out with, it was originally Macromedia. Fireworks. One of the things that Fireworks allows you to do, Dana, see, look, Dana's here. Hello, I don't think I've even said hello to you, Dana. So, hello, Dana, thank you very much for joining. For those who don't know Dana is a NanoRaptor that does those absolutely awesome retouches of Macs that never were, or were they? And anyhow, Dana is clearly someone that comes from a very similar sort of design, desktop publishing type background that I come from. The only difference is that she actually has talent. Yeah, so Dreamweaver and Fireworks. Fireworks was one that allowed you to illustrate things and then slice them up, and then it would export them as a table, so you can end up with things all looking like you'd position things correctly. And that's how the old web was done. And so I will be doing a website that works the same as that will use all of those old things. So I will be, I fake my talent with Photoshop. So I'll be doing all that sort of stuff, and then I'll be doing them with, low-res GIFs and JPEGs and stuff. I will be building them accordingly for the sorts of machines that may well be visiting the website. So anyhow, that's a very, very long, prattly sort of thing, just letting people know that is one of the plans that I have in the pipeline. I would be very interested if people want to maybe leave comments in the comments. If anyone's watching this later on, if you have any thoughts of the sorts of things that I could put on a website like that, maybe if you are a vintage Mac user yourself and you're getting your computer on the web and you're sort of like, oh, I would love to visit a website that did this or did that or whatever. Just interested in your thoughts, because I'm, as I say, I'm just coming up with ideas for myself for what I will do with that. So, So I'm just going to here, and I'm probably going to have to try and figure out, I've got to figure out how, I've already got websites running here, so I've got to figure out how I'm going to get that to work in tandem. I could stick it on a different port, but I'd really rather not have to send people a URL with a port number on the end. We'll have to think about it. Right, okay, so just going to check here with the chat. Anyone remember image maps? Oh yeah, I sure do. And whereas there's all the thing back in the day where people would put an image down and then they would set up an image map so that when you clicked at a particular location on that image, it would then take you to a specific hyperlink. And oh man, that was all the rage. Everyone was just so into images with an image map. We'll do a tree and all the different leaves will be buttons and stuff like that. It was just, that was all the rage with the old web. Yeah, so, oh, LMNO has just arrived. I hate to tell you how bad your timing is, but I'm about to finish. I've been going for 3 hours now, and I'm going to finish in a moment. But I do want to know, LMNO, how did you go with the SE30? Did you get that sorted? I was following a conversation that LMNO was having with Tech Night on the Tinker Different Discord. And of course, Tech Night is providing some wonderful information. And I have to say, what LMNO created, or has created, or is in the process of creating, as part of a sort of a diagnostic guide for people using SE30s, if you have an oscilloscope, is basically set up so that you can see the frequencies of all the different data path thingies along the ROM, along the ROM slot. So that will be a really handy thing to help people out that are diagnosing problems with the SE30. But he's making a big CMAC diagnostics guide, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I am just like, that would just be awesome to do. Close up, we're still working it. So just out of curiosity, have you had a go at replacing the MUX chips yet? Have I got an SE30 here? Yeah, I have. So this is the this is the same board that you have, LMNO. This is the later revision of the board, the one that has the soldered in CPU rather than socketed. And just with the symptoms you were describing, I would definitely be aiming for these guys here, the MUX chips. So, you know, it may not be it, but it's very similar to symptoms. I replaced them with questionable pulls from another SE30. Okay, have some new MUXes on order. Yeah, I keep a really good, so when it comes to an SE30, if anyone out there, if they're doing regular diagnostics on SE30, I would recommend have spares of all of these chips are running along here, still readily available to buy today. So you can buy all of these today, have spares of those, have spares of these little MUX chips down here as well, really important. I also keep spares of the sound chips. I don't have many, but having said that, they don't fail very often. So I often just use them to swap over and see, did that fix the problem? No, it didn't. Okay, it's not the sound chip. And I still know that sound chip is good. So I keep spares of sound chips, and I keep spares. I've got stacks of these VRAM chips as well. I've got heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of those. So always, you know, keep a few spares of those. If you're going to be working a lot of SE30s, it's good to have those sorts of parts hanging around. But anyhow, look, keep us up to date, LMNO. I'm sure you're putting the information in Discord. I would really love to know how you go, because as we know, the more SE30s we have, the better the world is. So simple as that. Okay. So yeah, anyhow, really looking forward to seeing that guide when it comes out. For those who don't know, there is a completely redrawn schematic diagram for the SE30, which LMNO did, and it is absolutely fantastic because most of the schematics we use for these vintage computers are hand-drawn. So if you're trying to find something, you do a search, you can't because it's all hand-drawn. You've got to actually wade through the whole thing to find what you're looking for, but this being searchable is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, good stuff. Why does Tinker Different have a Discord? Isn't the point to have the information in a web forum? We have both. And the web forum is excellent as a long-term information repository. What the Discord gives that the forum doesn't give is kind of chat, instant conversation. And when you're working through something and you are asking questions, getting answers, followed by another question, followed by another answer, that sort of thing, that kind of interaction, you know, in more of a live sort of chat rather than in, you know, sort of sending a message and then having to wait for a reply. So we have both. And then of course the other thing that happens is the Discord gets a lot more conversational. So for example, if people find something interesting on eBay, then we've got a little channel in there for that where people can just say, look what I found, that sort of thing, and just do little posts there, and then they can all chat about it. So it becomes more of a live chat conversational thing on the Discord, where it becomes more of a sort of information repository on the forum. So both of them work really well. The downside is, of course, information in Discord is very disposable. Trying to find things on Discord that are several weeks old or months old is often very, very difficult to locate. And so that's a bit of a pain. So for what I would generally say when people are reporting on stuff, you know, like let's just say, for example, if you are trying to sort your way through a problem, you might get onto the Discord to get some help from people. And then when the problem is solved, do a post on the forum to say, here is this computer that I had, these are the symptoms that I had, I got some suggestions to do this, this and this, I tried this, I tried that, and it finally worked with this one, you know, and providing that information for people later on. So, as I say, we have the both. And they both have their place, that's for sure. Right, you can even load up the redrawn schematic in KiCad and highlight traces to easily see where they lead, which that is just so useful. Anyone who's ever done any repairs with board view files, which is where you get essentially virtually like a CAD drawing of the board that you're working on, and then you can just click on one pin of a chip and see where it goes on the board. It just makes life so much easier. Geez, I wish we had that with these vintage computers as well. All right. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. I am signing off now. It's been over 3 hours, so time for me to drop this board into the ultrasonic cleaner and yeah, move on to the next project. So thank you for keeping me company. Thank you for the super chats. Sorry once again it went so late for some of the people in the what is it, Western Hemisphere. So I will hopefully try and live stream again. I think next weekend I should be able to. Yeah, once again, thank you for joining me, thank you for keeping me company. I always appreciate your company. Thanks for keeping the chat all active and lively, and I will hopefully see you at the next one. So bye bye.